Do you see now the difference in our power?
Okay, I got another thing for you. I want to hear your opinion on the shop and the skins that they add. What do you think about that?
So the shop, I oh god. Okay, so first things first, it makes sense why they added it. People were always asking for like older outfits, and I think the shop was like the answer to that. With like kind of like the stage situation that happened, right? Like obviously there was like two sides that were mostly clashing, right? There was people like, oh yeah, like them not putting the stage in the season pass was like scummy and all that stuff, and then there's like the other camp that was like, well, you didn't read what you bought and all that stuff,
Yeah.
which neither here nor there for like both sides. But like when it came to like releasing the season pass, you've already have this audience with Tekken 7 where they were accustomed to getting this content in that sort of like pass, right?
Yeah.
And to me, I don't see why they didn't just add the cost of the stages in the season pass. I guarantee you there would have been no backlash.
Yeah, I think it was a huge oversight on their. It was probably a last minute decision, and it was a bad decision because they didn't
It
take
was,
into account like what Tekken 7 established. Tekken 7 established a format, and people became very accustomed to that format. And when you change it, even if you put the fine print, when you change it without really,
like talking
acknowledging,
about
yeah,
it.
talking about
Yeah.
that change, like, yeah, a lot of people will be upset.
I myself, I'm trying to like, I'm in the process of like trying to make a 3D fighting game in my spare time. It is hell. I'm not gonna lie, it is hell. Right? There's a reason why there's literally like only Tekken is on the market.
Yeah.
We got no Soul Calibur right now. We got no DOA, no Virtufier, no nothing, right? And it's like it's so difficult to make these type of games, let alone kind of like maintain it as well, right?
Yeah.
With like additional content and all that. So it's a lot of effort.
It was either Nii or Osan, but one of them was saying that they would like to have like more rage arts and like even intros. Like there's the intros that Yoshimitsu had in the past that's not in this game. Like you could put all those different things in the battle pass. New intros, new wind poses, rage arts, and you can have the rage arts do the same damage. The point is just to have like different types of like, visuals.
Yeah, same damage. If they really want to like keep intact that competitive aspect, they could even do the same Oki as well. Some people picked the wrestling outfit for Lars because it gave better rage art Oki.
Yeah, that does make sense because not every rage art leaves you standing in the same position. So
Yeah.
if they let's say they added a new rage art for like Yoshimitsu where he's standing with his back towards you, right? Like no one's going to use that because he's like you got to turn around. That's something I didn't take into a consideration. That's a good point.
I really want obviously like them to add like Jin's rage art, like Jin's like story rage art as like a selectable rage art, right?
Yeah.
But the Oki is low-key kind of worse than Jin's normal rage art.
Yeah.
Because like he does like a massive kick and they just fly away.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like they would kind of need to like change that. So maybe like the kick like cuts through him or something, and then it does like the switch,
Yeah.
right? Like the same sort of like camera switch as like Jin standard rage art or something. But like they can do all that stuff, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
think people would be like receptive of that stuff compared to again ball. Like the reason why I keep saying ball, right? Because ball
That was
irritates me so
ridiculous.
much.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Bro, I'm not even joking. You know the ball is like an Unreal Engine default asset. It comes with the engine.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
It's like it's in the engine.
Yeah. That's what I try to highlight. Like even though their battle pass is getting better, like if you go and compare it to another game like a Fortnite, the ones who really popularized it, or
Oh,
like a Call,
Fortnite Battle
it's
Pass.
different. It's
Yeah.
totally different.
Like to me, it's just very evident that for the battle pass, like they had to like stretch it. For example, there's like sneakers you can get right in the battle pass that just have a leopard print. From my understanding, I think it's the exact same base like materials and texture stuff. The only thing that they've changed, right, is they have a file in particular that allows them to add patterns to stuff. Like we need an item quick. It's like, okay, get this, add a pattern, job done, call it a day. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's
So it's like,
crazy.
but these are like items in the premium track, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, it's not surprising how people look at that and they're not happy about that stuff, right? Because when you compare it to like, for example, as you mentioned before, like something like Fortnite, all the items eat good in Fortnite. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like you have like all these quality different items and stuff like that, and it's like, why is like Tekken not getting like that same sort of treatment with its like with its battle pass? If you're gonna have a battle pass, right, you might as well like people want you to kind of like put effort on that stuff, right?
Yeah. Who's your main character? What character do you play?
I play as Azucena,
Oh, okay.
so
All right. Yeah, she's cool. I played a lot of her in the beta.
she's very strong. A lot of people say that she's like dead in the water now, and even in competitive play, like she's had kind of like a massive sort of drop off. But
They really didn't do
like,
much to that character, right? Didn't they just nerf her, what is it, her forward 3-2 or whatever? And then everyone was like, yep, this character's trash now. Like,
so they nerfed a handful of things. The best way to kind of explain it is like she's supposed to like kind of like dance around the opponents and all that stuff, right? So like
yeah.
she has like an emphasis on like, you know, her stance stuff. The problem is though, is that when people played her competitively, all people did was just spam 2-1 all day, down forward 1-4, and obviously while running 3-2 was extremely strong. So what they ended up doing, they nerfed the while running 3-2, obviously first and foremost. You know, like the situation isn't as overbearing from the defender's perspective. They made her poking tools like her 2-1 more minus, and then they literally just deleted the tracking off of it as well. Same with down forward 1-4 as well. Down forward 1-4 has weaker tracking, but then to kind of like compensate for like all these kind of like heavy nerfs and all that stuff to like all of like her key poking tools, right? Because her key poking tools are not as strong as, let's say, like Yoshimitsu's, right? Yoshimitsu's poking tools are like quite scary
Yeah.
that he has. What they've did to kind of like compensate that is they made it so like she has like a new way of entering back turn, and they gave her like a new way of like transitioning into lip stands. Like her low poke kick that puts her into back turn does more damage than the low poke that people are using to just stay in neutral and then just spam like, you know, 2-1 again and like down forward 1-4. So like all the changes were done to kind of shift the competitive scene to kind of like use her more in the way that they initially intended. You know, a lot of people saw those changes, right? Didn't really understand that aspect and was like, yeah, she's dead.
Yeah,
Bearing in mind, she still has like a really strong counter hit with 1+2, down forward 3 as well, and like other tools as well to kind of still like, you know, still formulate like a game plan with, but you know.
I think a lot of these characters are very powerful. It's not just Dragunov and, you know, the top 10. I think you could go to like the top 20 and you could see some crazy things as well. But like for season 2, what they just basically nerfed the whole roster, there's no way the player base would celebrate that, you know?
Bears in general haven't really been seen as like a strong character in Tekken, right? In this game, they're scary. People say like if you're playing Panda, it's like a bottom 5 character, right? But
Yeah.
Panda can literally just steamroll you and kill you as well. So it's like,
Yeah.
you
And what
know.
I try to do is I try to, because like a lot of these tier lists are created from some of the best players in the world. And I try to highlight that, you know, what happens in pro level is not at
It's
all at what
very
happens in
different.
like the casual or like the average level. Like Lars, for example. Lars at the top level is probably not the character you want to go with. But like if you pick
Mhm.
Lars in like an average level, he's probably a lot stronger, you know?
Even with Azucena as well, with the tracking changes and stuff like that, a lot of people, you know, kind of just dropped off the character because, you know, they don't think the character is suitable in that sort of environment. I will argue that she still is, but like, you know, like general consensus in like Korea and stuff like that, Korea, Japan, and like Pakistan and all that stuff is like no one's using that character.
Once a character considered low tier, it takes like a lot for that to change.
And it usually takes someone who's dedicated with that character to kind of show like the capabilities of that character, right?
Yeah.
Even with Leo as well, right? The peeps that are kind of like putting Leo on the map and stuff like that. It's like AO Richie and stuff.
I think she's definitely stronger than what people say. And Claudio as well.
Yeah, Claudio, Leo, yeah, Leo's very, very strong. With like King J as well, like I verse King J a lot. AO Richie I verse a lot. Like those are like my boys that I verse, you know what I mean? Like we have like a big tournament called VS Fighting that happened in August. That would be like when your Korean players would like show up. Shout outs to like the people that run Meltdown, the Scottish Tekken people, they're all like a lovely bunch and they pop out and like support parts of the UK and all that stuff, and they have their own sort of like community as well. I feel like Tekken 8 as well is a lot more fun to play offline than it is online.
Why do you think that is? It seems like when you're playing online, that's the worst thing to do. Either play with your friends, play offline, or but like going into ranked, it seems like players just lose their mind there.
I think it's like a multitude of reasons. There's a lot of reasons. I think I have like 6 GODs now. So like I spend like a good chunk in the rank trenches, right? The game is really not making me feel welcome, you know what I mean? The game is really doing its best effort to make me like not try and play it, you
Yeah,
know?
like you have to really want to play Tekken in order to play Tekken.
Fundamentally as well, online Tekken is super different to offline Tekken because both players can pick one player side, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, there's certain interactions that you would force, right? And people can just kind of get out of it because they're playing online. So Azucena has back three. What you can do is you can do back three with down forward 1-4, right? So it's just a poke string afterwards, right?
Yeah.
If they're playing on P1 side, you can step it left, right?
Yeah.
If you're playing offline, obviously you can see that they're on either P1 or P2 side, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's like you know that this interaction is gonna work. Online, you don't know what fucking side they're on. You know what I mean? It's like they
Yeah.
could be on.
And I was saying that it should be forced random all the time because, you know, not only do people not are worse at playing on player two side, but then like, you know, exactly what you just explained. So yes, being able to play on player one side it's comfortable for them, but I think it creates a lot of other issues with how the player progresses and also just the flow of the match. But the average player probably wouldn't want that.
I would also agree with you on that as well. For like, especially for like something like ranked as well. As our Lord and Savior Eris mentioned like ages
Yeah.
ago, right? He was saying that the game's rank system in T7 was not parallel to how the actual game's competitive format is. So he was basically saying like, why is it not first to two, right? When you're playing in ranked.
Yeah.
And I think like they themselves kind of realized this, and it's like it's why like with Tekken 8 in particular, right? That's why it's like first to two and all that stuff. Even like random stages as well in the first to two would be kind of cool as well.
I think a lot
It's
more people would be inclined to rematch too if they could randomly select the stage after like the first match or whatever.
with Street Fighter 6, you have like you have like the costumes and all that stuff that you can put on the characters, right? But then
Yeah.
you have like 10 different colors that you can pick, right? And it's like the same in Strive and all that stuff. As like a spectator, you can kind of like associate like, oh, this player like uses like this color and all that stuff. Tekken doesn't have that anymore, right? So like in
Yeah.
T7, you had like all the different presets you can pick from. Every single time Richie played T7, like he had like the pirate Leo outfit, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, you know that's Richie's preset that he goes for, and that's what he plays Leo with. Bro, it's just playing like P2 outfit. So like it would be cool, for example, like in like season 2, for example, they get like default 2, they stack it into like default 1, right? And then they give us like 10 colors for like all the presets, for example. And then like, you know, it'll have that level of kind of like personalization for like when you're playing at tournaments and stuff like that.
It's like for iMusician, right? The Yoshi we're watching. In Tekken 7 he had like the Harada's guitar, that's what Eris called it. The Harada's guitar outfit. And it's like when you saw that you were like, okay, yeah, that's pretty much iMusician.
Like a lot of these tournaments as well, like Bandai Namco sponsors, right?
Yeah.
As well, especially like stuff that's in the tour, right? So I don't see no reason why like a Bandai Namco tour can't have the Tekken Shop outfits as like an actual preset costume you can just select.
Tournaments kind of act as advertisement, right? And if they can use the store outfits in tournaments, that's like big.
It's just free. That's free advertising. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we're talking about it. It seems like a no-brainer, but it's like, you know,
Yeah, they just don't be thinking about it. I don't know. Maybe they're like thinking of too much and they just can't
I feel
think
like
about the little things or something.
I feel like they're thinking about too much. I mean, there's a lot that goes with this game, and there's like, I'm assuming as well, like, there's a lot of stuff that they kind of have to deal with in office and all that stuff to make sure that everything like feels like Tekken when you're playing it and stuff like that, like visually, gameplay wise, etc., like sound wise, you know, all that, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort to make a game, right?